Hope everybody's having a great week so far. Can you hear me over on TikTok this morning? And hello to everybody over on YouTube. Happy Tuesday. So today I am working on this little baby blanket I started. And hey, good morning, Grandma 21. So it's really kind of a simple blanket, and there isn't really a pattern for this. I just started putting down some stitches. And one of the things that I learned this past week was this little stitch right here, which I just think is the cutest little stitch. It's got fun little texture to it. And this little stitch I'm doing right here is called a half double slip stitch, and it creates that little ridge of texture. It's really kind of a sweet little stitch, and I thought, well, I want to make something with that stitch. So I thought, well, I'll just throw down some stitches. So I started out very here at the bottom with a starting chain, and I don't remember how many I did. I think it was like 120 or something. And then I did a half double slip stitch, which created this texture. Then I think I did a single crochet. Then I did a half double. Then I did some crossed half doubles, another half double single, and then I just kind of repeated that. So it's just a very simple, like I said, there's not really a pattern for this. I just sat down and started crocheting, and I like to do that sometimes, just kind of go with what's in my brain. So the yarn that I'm using, I had in my stash, and it's called Bernat Baby Sport. And some of you guys have seen me use this yarn before. It's very economical. You get this huge skein. I think right now with Joanne, before the coupon, it's like, I don't know, $9.50 or something. It's pretty economical. And for this particular colorway, you get 1,004 yards. So really with this blanket, I'm only going to need this skein, and then they have white, which is, you know, the big old skein as well. So I've just got these two colors working. This is a 3-weight light yarn, and I'm using a size G hook. This colorway is called Funny Prints. So sorry guys, I picked up my husband's cold over the weekend. He's been sick, and so I might be clearing my throat a lot. I'm just kind of congested, but I'm feeling okay. So it's fine. It's just one of those things you might hear me kind of clearing, and sorry about that. So anyhow, without further ado, let's just get started on this. And right now I'm just working on a very simple single crochet row. So I'm just going to continue that, and eventually we'll get into this little fun colored stitch here. This is the half double slip stitch that creates that little ridge of texture. So anyhow, the blanket, I kind of wanted to focus on that and just kind of crochet along. How's my volume over on TikTok this morning? I see we have a couple hundred people tuning in. I hope everybody's off to a great week this week. For those that don't know me, my name is April, and I come on live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings from 7 to 8:30. And then I leave you all and I go do my real job. So I'm just a hobby crocheter, but I have been crocheting for 40 years, and I love making baby blankets, but I make a variety of things. Tomorrow I'm going to be working on a new blanket for donation. I a while back at Ollie, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ollie. We didn't have them when I lived in Arizona, but out here in Alabama we have a store called Ollie, Ollie. And sometimes they they get some clearance yarn. Excuse me, sorry guys. If my voice gets too bad, I'll have to cut off the live, but I am kind of battling a little cold here today. So anyhow, I every now and then I'll catch some good yarn finds over at Ollie, and one of the yarns I got, oh gosh, I don't know, half a year ago or something, was some Red Heart Super Saver. And the project I'm going to be using tomorrow, or doing tomorrow, I'm going to be trying to use up some of that stash that I've got. At the time that I bought it, it was, I thought, a pretty good deal. I think Red Heart Super Saver Jumbos What are they running right now? Like $7 or something when they're on sale? I'm sure you all know because you guys have probably been hitting the yarn sales like I've been hitting the yarn sales. Thank you, Mama Wheeler. Mama Wheeler said the YouTube volume is good. Yay, yay. Um, so anyhow, I have been working on. I finished my Christmas blanket for donation, but this I had this yarn that I had bought. I have 20 skeins of this dark gray heather, and anyhow, they're the Super Saver Jumbos. This is, anyhow, I caught it at Ollie. And like I said, I don't remember how long ago this was, but I picked them up for $4.99 each. But I had a 15% off my entire order. So I got a lot of them. They were like, I think that worked out to be like 4.25 a piece. And I thought, oh, for Red Heart, that's a pretty good deal. So I bought 20 of them because it's kind of a main staple of, you know, a lot of the stuff that I do. I know black is hard to see on the live, but I'm going to pair it with some, I want to make some veterans blankets. And the place I'm going to donate them to is in North Carolina. So if those veterans are anything like, my husband's not a veteran, but he's a good old redneck kind of guy. So I'm going to pair it with this camo yarn. And I'm going to make a ripple blanket. So that's what's on deck for tomorrow. So baby blanket today, starting a new ripple blanket tomorrow. The Christmas one turned out really nice. I finished it over the weekend. And I was really happy with how it turned out. And so anyhow, hey Linda, good morning. I'm glad you caught the live as well. I'm glad all of you are here with me this morning. So for today, for those that are just hopping on, I'm just working on a little baby blanket. I started this over the weekend. One of the stitches I just learned to make is the half double slip stitch. So this little stitch right here is the half double slip stitch. And it's really easy to do, but it kind of puts this cool like ridge of texture on my project. So anyhow, I was playing around with it and I was like, I want to make something with that. So I had this yarn in my stash and I yanked it out over the weekend. I said, oh, why not? That would look really beautiful. So there you go. Anyhow, it's a little rainy here today. It's kind of overcast. I haven't watched the weather. I don't know, but it definitely is kind of overcast and gray today here in Alabama. So I hope you guys are all having a good week. One of the things with this blanket, yeah, it's baby, hey Macy, good morning. Macy asked, this is Bernat Baby Sport, I'm guessing. So one of the yarns I keep in my stash is the Bernat Baby Sport. And it's a 3-weight yarn, and it's 100% acrylic. It has quite a bit of sizing in it. So when you're working with it, it is a little rougher compared to like a really soft, squishy baby blanket yarn. However, what I do when I'm done with the blanket is if I don't want to wash it, I'll put it in the dryer with a kind of wet, damp bath towel. And I just let it tumble low with that wet towel. And that will remove all the sizing. You can do that a lot with Red Heart projects as well. You know, Red Heart yarn has quite a bit of sizing in it, but once you wash it, all of that kind of falls off. Now, with the blankets, the lap blanket, the wheelchair blankets that I'm making, I'm going to wash those, especially the Christmas one, because I need to see how the color is going to stay on that one. And I'm going to use those color catcher sheets that I have. So anyhow, we'll see. But this Bernat, it does soften up once you are working with it. But I find the sizing is not too rough. It is actually an okay amount of sizing for me. It doesn't really irritate my hands. Sometimes Super Saver yarn is really super scratchy. This is kind of a step down from that, but it still is a little rough. But the thing that is nice is it really holds the stitches as you're doing them. So it makes your stitches nice and consistent, where a softer yarn that's more pliable, sometimes that's a little harder to work with as far as maintaining the stitches. Now, one thing with this blanket, I don't know if it was because I was sick over the weekend or what the deal was, but you can see I've got stitch markers all over this thing. And I just was having a hard time keeping my count on it for whatever reason. I don't know if it was my brain and how it was working or what the deal was, but I was definitely special on this one. So once I finished with the single crochet, we can look down here. Here's the cross, here's the crossed, half double, single, single. Now what I did is I came along and I changed the color, and I'm doing a half double slip stitch is what's next. And I'm just kind of stacking these stitches up. So I am changing my yarn on these. I'm not carrying it. I feel like the group from here to here was too big of a distance to carry my yarn, so I've just been weaving in my ends as I go, believe it or not. I know that's like shocking because I'm pretty bad about that. So let me snip off here. And hey, Queen, good morning. Yeah, I'm just like you guys. I have brain fog, and I'll tell you, with being sick, it was kind of like I felt like I was not really like functional. This is that yarn I'm using, the Bernat Baby Sport. So anyhow, I don't have a big enough lap, and this yarn I gotta kind of wind some off here because I've kind of got a big ball of it. I made a big mess of it the other day, and I gotta find the end. So bear with me here, guys. Chat amongst yourselves. Let's see. Macy said her husband is sick and I think he's giving it to me. I'm half asleep still. Yeah, that's what happened to me. My husband brought it home from work. One of his co-workers was sick and brought it home with him. And so, of course, now I'm sick and he's getting over. My husband is coughing a lot more than I am. But anyhow, and now he said the coworker who had it, that gave it to him, is sick again. So he had it, gave it to the whole office, then got rid of it, and then now he's recaught the whole thing. So it's like, oh my gosh. Okay, I have to remember how I'm doing this, guys, because it's been a while since I worked on this. It's been a couple days. So let's, I have to do it on the others. Let me see. Think here. Yeah, this is right. Sorry. I have too many projects going. You know, it gets me a little confused on my projects sometimes. Got to remember how the heck I did this. Okay, so let's turn our work. Okay, so what I'm going to do for this half double, I wrap my yarn around, and into this first stitch, I pull up a loop, and then I pull through 2 of these. I'm going to explain this a little more as I go along. I got to make sure this is working though. Okay, so I wrap my yarn around into the next stitch like you're going to do a half double, pull up a loop. Now instead of yarning over and going through under all 3 of those, I just go on, I pull this loop under these 2. And that's your half double slip stitch. So here we go again. And one of the things, when I first started doing this, I was trying to pull it this way. I don't know if you can see that. If I pull it, that's normally how I do my stitches. But for whatever reason, it kept running into this stitch right here. So then, as I was playing around with it, what I realized is if I do this stitch, if I turn my hook opposite of what I'm doing, so I point it towards the back, then pull it kind of down and under, they slide right on. So I was kind of fighting it at first, trying to like get it through these. See how hard that was? And like I said, normally when I do the stitches, I would turn it like this. But see how it's like fighting? That stitch is fighting me. So turn it backwards. Give it a little swoosh. And then they pop right on to your hook. So I feel like this is my new favorite stitch. in place of a single crochet. You know, when I'm doing blankets like this, I'm going back and forth, right? Back and forth, turning my work. Even when I'm doing like this blanket right here, right? This is Baby Kate's Blessing blanket. You guys are familiar with this. I've made it a bunch of times. But on this pattern, you do your crossed double crochets, then you come back with a row of single crochets. So in my mind, in place of this single crochet, how would it look with a row of the half double slip stitch? I've been rolling that around in my brain as well. So, you know what, now I'm really curious, totally sidetracked here. So here we are, we just finished the crisscross double crochets. So now let's see what it looks like if I do the half double crochets instead of a slip stitch. What does that look like? I just feel like it gives it a cool texture. It gives it like an added, like little oomph. You know what I mean? No, it doesn't hurt my wrist. I don't know, for whatever reason, it doesn't really hurt my wrist to go back that direction. Sorry, a squirrel totally ran by and told me I had to do this little, because I piqued my own interest. See how different that looks? Maybe you guys can't see it on camera. See how this is really kind of flat and blah? Then when you do the back post or the half double slip stitch, see how it puts that little ridge of texture? It just gives it that whole like added kind of dimension. I think it's so cool. I'm just so geeked out by this. So let's see here. Let me just do this. I'm not supposed to be working on this project. I started this a long time ago. I always have one of these kind of in the works. I have to see how these stack up on each other. I'm beyond curious at this point, like how it looks. This yarn is the Bernat Softy Cotton. Tangled up, had to get it untangled. Let's see how different this looks. So let me turn this now. Let's do some more half double slip stitches. Yarn over, pull it up. Yeah, you would think it would hurt your wrist to go backwards like that, but it really doesn't. It really doesn't. Because I'm not being overly dramatic with it. It's just kind of a different turn and a different angle, I guess. But if you can get it to work the other way, by all means, do it the forward facing. That's totally cool too, like whatever. But I really think this is kind of a cool looking stitch. Really is, it really adds something to it. It's just a little, it's very, very subtle, the difference. This is the single crochet. I think I want to make a whole blanket like this. Not this one. I've already got too much of this done. But anyhow, that's what we're playing around with today. So let me put that to the side. Oh, here's my crochet hook for this one. Don't get my hooks mixed up. I like to keep my hooks with my projects. Okay, I'm going to refile this back. Sorry, I totally got sidetracked. So we'll go back to this one now. But here you can see it's doing the same thing. See how it's putting that little ridge on there? It's kind of hard to see on the camera, but there's definitely a difference. Definitely a difference. I'm not working in the back loop. Let's see. William said, good morning. Are you working in the back loop? I'm not. I am working under both loops. So I have my loop on my hook. I wrap my yarn over, and then I go under both of these bars. So under both of these, and then I pull up a loop. And then instead of finishing this half double, I'm just turning my hook backwards and doing a slip stitch under both those loops. So it's very easy to do. But what I found, if you're just hopping on, I found if I turn my hook backwards, opposite of what I normally do. So normally when I do, I turn it this way and pull it through, right? My hook faces me. But when I was doing that, I had a really hard time it kept popping off like that. It kept, my stitches, I couldn't get it to go under this stitch right here very easily. See how it wants to like, so then what I figured out is if I go backwards, so instead of putting my hook towards me, if I put it, see how I'm turning it backwards, then it'll slide right under. And I think the reason why is because this loop you can see right here is kind of coming through the back. It's not really coming off the front. And so that's what made it really easy to kind of slip that on. And then I was able to work quite a bit quicker. Yeah, I think it would work for a border. So what I was thinking, obviously this is kind of like a little boy blanket, right? I guess it could be girl, but I think of it more as a little boy blanket. So I'll come back and I'll do some edging on this, right? And this whole side here is going to get covered up with a border, but I don't want to do a ruffle. And I thought it would be kind of cool to incorporate this into the edging as well. And I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna do that. The other thing that this almost looks like to me is the crab stitch or the reverse single crochet, and that works really nice on edging as well. And I have done that on some of my projects. I feel like it's just a nice, clean, simple edge when you don't want something too fancy. And so that's the other stitch I thought it might work for a border as well, is maybe do the crab stitch. So maybe even if I did like this for an edging and then came back and did a crab stitch on top of this, I thought that might look kind of cool. So we'll see. I have to noodle on it a little bit. Like I said, there's not really a pattern for this. Now I am, for those that don't know, I am live this morning both on TikTok and on YouTube. So there will eventually be this video today over on YouTube that you can go back and reference if you want to make this stitch. But basically, I just sat down and started crocheting. So if we look at these stitches, I did a starting chain and then I just did single crochets for the first row. Then I did this half double slip stitch. Then I did a single crochet with the white. Then I did a half double. Then I did crisscrossed half doubles. Then I went back to the regular half double, and then I did a single crochet, and then I'm back working on this, and I'm just repeating these little sections. So you can see right here where I'm at currently is this row right here. So I'm just literally gonna, once I get done with this, then I'm gonna do a single crochet. So it kind of makes it flat in between. Then I'm gonna do another row of this stitch. And this stitch is a half double slip stitch. It puts this little cool like ridge on there. It's a little hard to see on screen, but it's definitely looks cooler than like a single crochet. So I feel like it's a nice stitch to do in between rows as you're working back and forth. So I'm really liking it. I'm really enjoying this stitch. I don't know why I should be so geeked out by a stitch, but for whatever reason, this stitch is really, I don't know if I'm always going to be excited about it, but I'm really excited about it. I'm such a dork. I'm okay with my dorkiness though. So yeah, I just wrap my yarn around, and then here's the top of our stitch. There's the 2 bars. I'm going underneath the 2 bars. I'm grabbing up a loop. So it's just like a half double crochet or a double crochet. If you're going to finish a half double, you'd yarn over and pull through all 3. I'm not doing that. I'm pulling this stitch underneath those 2 loops, just letting them slide over. And then I'm just moving on to the next one. Same thing, slide them over, yarn over under those 2 bars, grab up a loop, and then I'm just turning my hook backwards and sliding it under. So it's a half double slip stitch. But because it has that extra loop on it, that's what's giving it that little line of texture. It kind of makes it go the opposite direction, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's so appealing to me. That's the excitement I have for the rib stitch. It's my new favorite. Candy said, yeah, I think I really like that as well, the rib stitch. I just love when I find stitches that have fun textures with them. It's just really, really exciting. Because then I don't have to necessarily have a pattern, right? I am not following anybody's pattern. I'm just using the stitches that I have in my brain, right? I did, it's not really, I mean, yes, it's a pattern. I'm repeating it, but it's not like I'm following anybody's pattern. I can just sit here and crochet and not really like think about it. Now, with that being said, like I said, I have stitch markers everywhere. I am doing a lot of counting on this because I don't know if it was from being sick over the weekend or what, but I just couldn't keep my edges straight. They kept pulling in on me and I kept missing a stitch. And so I can't tell you guys how many rows I've frogged on this blanket already so far. It has been a challenge for that. So, like I said, I think it's probably me and being sick and kind of foggy and not focused and thinking clearly. But when you get like that with a project, I don't care how many years you've been crocheting. If you have an issue like that, just pull out your stitch markers. You can see I'm counting the stitches here. So I think I counted 50 double crochets. Then I counted another 50 double crochets. And then here, when I get to the end, and then put your stitch marker at your very beginning stitch too, and that'll help you. I've been crocheting for 40 years, but hey guys, if I'm having an issue, I'm not afraid to, pull out the old stitch marker like I'm a very beginner and use that as a point of reference to help me as I'm trying to keep this blanket straight. I would hate to put all the effort into it and then at the end have it not look good on my edges because it's pulling in. So anyhow, hey, good morning, Dolphin Lover. Yes, I am over on YouTube as well. My handle is Wheeler 8 Acres. And if you're just hopping on, I saw some new followers. Thank you, everybody, for the follows this morning. My name is April, and I come on live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings from 7 to 8:30 a.m. Central Time. I live in Northeast Alabama. And crocheting is my hobby. I have a real job. I work remote in Arizona, and so I have to be at my real job at 9. So I just come on here and crochet for a little bit with my friends and, share some of the stitches or projects or ramble on about my birds and wildlife and critters and such. And then I go do my real job. So I have been crocheting for 40 years. I don't consider myself to be an expert. I think I'm more like an intermediate crocheter. So I'm learning new things every day right along with you. And like I said, this is a new stitch that I just learned last week. This little stitch I'm doing here is the half double slip stitch. And it's a brand new stitch to me, but I'm super excited about it. And so sharing it with everybody here this morning. And I really think this is going to kind of go into my bank of stitches that becomes an everyday kind of use stitch, almost in place of the single crochet. I just love the look of it and how it feels. It's very simple, but it's it's just very nice and easy stitch to do. So the way that I'm doing it, if you're not familiar with the half double slip stitch, you yarn over, and I'm going underneath both bars. Now you could go under just one of them if you wanted even an added layer of texture, but I'm not for this. I'm just pulling up a loop. So then when you have 3, now normally if you do a half double, you would, yarn over and finish that. I'm not doing that. What I'm doing is I'm pulling this first loop under these 2 loops. And in order to do that, I'm turning my hook the opposite direction as what I normally do. So normally I would yarn over and go like this underneath. But see how that is catching that loop? It's really hard for me to turn my hook forward for this stitch and pull it underneath. And it really was getting frustrating. So I was playing around with it, and that's when I realized it's because, see how this yarn is coming out the back? If I turn my hook, instead of turning it forward like this, turn my hook backwards, then it slides right under those 2 bars. So yarn over under the 2 bars, pull up a loop, turn my hook back the other direction, and it slides right on. It's dreamy. It's like, wow. That was easy. Years ago, I used to have one of those Staples buttons. You guys remember those old red buttons that you would push that said that was easy? When the light went on with this stitch, it just kind of clicked. I felt like I needed that button again. That was easy. Like, you know. Yeah, there's more room that way. That's what Macy said. There's more room that way to kind of get underneath that stitch. I really feel like it's how that yarn is coming over the back there. You can kind of see it. See how it's coming out the back? So I'm literally just sneaking my loop right under those two. And it really slides nicely when you put your hook the other direction. So all of a sudden I was no longer fighting against the yarn. I was working with the yarn, and then it all kind of clicked into place. But this is a half double slip stitch is what I'm doing right now. And I'm really liking it. I love the little look that it gives. And so it's pretty neat. I really dig it. Once again, I'm geeked out by crochet. Go figure, right? Let's see. Anvil said, I hope you love it. What are we loving? Uh, uh, Cayenne, Northeast Alabama, Roll Tide. Yeah, family in Bessemer. So I am in Rainsville, Alabama is where I live. And we relocated here about 4 years ago from Arizona. But if you're familiar with the area, we are right outside of Fort Payne, Alabama. And Fort Payne is kind of on the main drag as you're headed up from like Florida, if you were going to go from Florida up into like Chattanooga. So there's a major freeway, and I don't remember what the road is, but anyhow, we're kind of off of that road, and so we're a little bit outside of Fort Payne, but it's beautiful here. I really love it here. Let's see. Sarah said, I found a hat pattern with that stitch. I'm excited to start it. Oh, cool, cool. I've been wanting to make a hat. You guys know I'm not very good at making hats, but I was actually thinking about trying to do a hat with this new yarn that I got. So I thought I might do that on the live on Thursday, but I got to get ambitious because you guys know I'm not very good at the hats. So I have to really be in the right frame of mind. I don't know why I have such a hard time with hats, but I've been wanting to make one for myself with this fun yarn that I got. So, yes, Bewitched says, is this the home of the band Alabama, Fort Payne? Yes, it absolutely is. There's a monument down there in Fort Payne. And you can, there's a Alabama fan hall. Alabama, the band, is from Fort Payne, Alabama. So Fort Payne is a bigger town than the town that I'm in, but it's really interesting. It's the kind of the craziest thing, actually. And let me see if I can explain this. The town that I grew up in is Prescott, Arizona, and Prescott, Arizona. At the time that my family first lived there, it had about 15,000 people. Now, the Prescott area, I don't know the exact stats today, but it's well over 100. It is extremely, it's just really, really grown. The roads are congested. It's not the town that I grew up in. I mean, it is. The courthouse is still there. There's a little strip called Whiskey Row. And so all of that is still there. But it's very touristy and quite a bit overpopulated now, and in my opinion. And so when we were looking for a place to relocate, I wanted to find a place that was more like my hometown growing up. And when I drive through Fort Payne, now Fort Payne, Alabama has about 15,000 people. Guys, I'm just doing a single crochet, a very easy single crochet along here. And so anyhow, I'll just talk a little bit while I'm doing this. Everybody, I think, knows how to do a single crochet. So it's one of the very first stitches we learn. But that's all I'm doing this whole row is single crochet. So anyhow, oh, thank you guys for knocking out that goal over on TikTok. I appreciate that. When I drive through downtown Fort Payne, and Mama Wheeler was just talking about the statues down there of the Alabama boys, they always put out around the holidays. There's baskets of flowers. There's little banners that are on the light poles. Um, it has a bunch of antique stores, and it's very. It has an old, kind of historic, nostalgic feel to it. And to me, I know it's like on the completely opposite side of the earth, but when I drive through downtown Fort Payne, it feels like the feeling I had when I was a kid when we would drive down through downtown Prescott. And I feel more like at home there than I do anymore in Prescott, Arizona. It just has changed so much. It's just not the same town. Now, the little town that I live in, Rainsville, we only have 5,000 people. We have two traffic lights in our town, and it's very much country, farms, cattle, lots of grass. People let the grass just grow, and then they do the big rolls of hay for feed for the cattle and livestock, and it just feels really country. And I just love it here. I just love it. Now Fort Payne feels more like a little town, but it still doesn't even feel like Prescott, just with the size. It's definitely small. We don't have big retail shops or anything around us. If we want to go to, like, if we need to go to an electronics store, like say Best Buy, or if I want to go to Joann's or Michael's, we have to go over to Huntsville or to a much bigger town. So it just feels really country here. And it's beautiful right now. We're kind of, I think, considered at at the bottom part of the Smoky Mountains, but we're pretty far down. Gatlinburg and all of that, of course, is Gatlinburg's probably about 3 hours from us, up in that like Knoxville kind of area, which is kind of more in the middle of the Smoky Mountains. But we're definitely at kind of the tail end of it. So it's not super mountainous, but it's not flat here. I always thought in my mind, when I lived in Arizona, I always thought that Alabama would be kind of flat, like my yarn is attacking me. Sorry. I got yarn everywhere, guys. I always thought Alabama would be more like Iowa, where it was flat. I never thought it would be hilly and have these big mountains and stuff, um, and have all the trees. I don't know why in my mind it was flat and different, but when I came here to visit, it was like, oh, this is crazy. This almost feels like Oak Creek Canyon is kind of how it felt like, if anybody's been there. And all the trees, the leaves are starting to change. Well, they've been changing. And it's just really beautiful. Now, the other thing that happens is really cool here that I really like. And like, I think it was Saturday, maybe. The fog, we're just completely engulfed in fog. And so you can't really see very far, but you've got all the leaves falling, and our maple trees are kind of yellow right now. The oak tree is losing its leaves. And then you had this kind of cool fog roll in, and you can kind of see the deer. We have deer that come in out in the pasture. They'll be out there in the fog. It makes them feel kind of safe, I think. But it's the coolest, like, feeling. It's hard to explain what happens this time of year until you, like, experience it yourself. And the other thing, now it's been pretty dry here, so our pond is pretty empty. But there are times where the water in the pond is warmer than the temperature in the air, and then we'll have like this misting fog kind of over our pond too, with the big trees losing their leaves in the background. It's just really cool. It's really, really cool. Um, yeah, there's lots of waterfalls. Mama Wheeler said, I love the waterfalls that are near, also. So yeah, we've got quite a few waterfalls. And when Mama Wheeler, for those that don't know, is my mom. And I saw she said earlier Papa Wheeler's out fishing this morning, which I'm kind of jealous of. I think I'd rather be fishing than sitting here crocheting. I love to fish, you know. But anyhow, yeah, we've got really cool waterfalls in our area. So I really, I love that. Let's see, I'm trying to change something here. Oh no, I don't want to do that. Hang on. What is this thing doing? Here we go. Let's see, edit. Let's do some chili peppers. Setting a new goal over here on TikTok. The other one expired or finished or something. Okay, I think I did it. Anyhow, good morning, everybody. Sorry, I was working on setting up a new goal over there on TikTok. Hey, Betty, good morning. I am not doing a back loop. So right now I'm doing a single crochet. You can kind of see those two bars, but I'm going under both loops. This loop right here that we're seeing is a loop of half double slip stitches, and I'm going to be doing another one of those here shortly, and so we'll see that kind of coming in. But right now I was kind of rambling. I'm just doing a row of single crochets, and I'm almost to the end here, and then I'll be ready to turn my work. But for those that are just coming on, we're working on a baby blanket this morning. It is kind of a repeating pattern. You know, there isn't really a pattern for this. I just sat down and started crocheting. So I put down a row of single crochets. I did a starting chain, then I did a single crochets, then I did a half double slip stitch. Then I did kind of a repeating chunk here. I did a row of single crochets, half double, crossed half doubles, another half double, and then a single crochet. So you can kind of see how I repeated that. Then I went back and I did the half double slip stitch. Then I did a single crochet, and then you can see the next one is back to the half double slip stitch. So I'm just kind of repeating this little chunk right here, up and up and up till I get enough to be the full baby blanket. But you can kind of see what I'm working on here. So what I'm doing right now is this row in between the half double slip stitches is a row of single crochets, and that's what I'm doing right now. But I'm just loving this half double slip stitch. I learned it last week, and I'm kind of incorporating it into this baby blanket. I kind of made it the star because I'm doing it with this really cool variegated yarn that I had in my stash. This blue and green that you can see here, this is the Bernat Baby Sport is what it looks like. And it's the colorway Funny Prints is what it is. But it's a very economical yarn. It's 100% acrylic. And I've just got some of it laying around in my stash. So anyhow, that works well. So anyhow, when I was playing around with this half double slip stitch, I thought, oh, that blue and green might look kind of pretty with that. If I do the blue and green and then kind of set it apart with some of the plain white, you know, I think that might look kind of cool. So this came out this weekend, and anyhow, it's just I really am enjoying it. So now I'm to the very end, and what I'm going to do is turn my work. And now I'm going to go back the other direction. So I just keep turning my work back and forth as I work in the different directions. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a half double slip stitch. And let me do a couple more of these, then I'll slow it down and kind of show you guys what I'm doing. But let me get away from this edge here. Because it is a really easy stitch, and it just adds like a fun little pattern to it, but it's very subtle. You know, it's not. I wanted it to look delicate, right? I want it to look like a baby blanket and just have texture, but be a very subtle, nice texture. Hey, Magdalena, good morning. Good morning, everybody that's hopping on. Happy Tuesday. Okay, so there you can kind of see how my edges are getting off though. I'm having to do a lot of counting on this and to keep my edges straight. It's, I don't know, it's been kind of frustrating. But here we have our half double slip stitch. Then in between there where it's flat, that was a single crochet. Now I'm doing this another row of half double slip stitch. So the way that I'm doing it, the top of the stitch here, you can see these 2 bars. So if you're new to crochet, whenever you look at the top of the stitch, it has these 2 bars. The one that faces you is the front loop. The one that's away from you is the back loop. And what Betty asked me earlier is if I'm going under just one of these bars. And I'm actually going underneath both of them. If you were working in the front loop only, you would go under this loop that's closest to you. If you were going in the back loop only, you would go under the one that's away from you. And I'm just going under both. So if I was to do the back loop only, the look would be very different. But what I do is I yarn over, and then I put my hook underneath both those bars. I grab up a loop. Now, instead of finishing like a half double where you yarn over and pull through all of them, what I'm doing is I'm putting this loop under these 2. So I'm drawing this one underneath those. And I'm turning my hook kind of to the back. What I found when I was doing this stitch, we'll do another one here. Normally, when I'm working my crochet stitches, I put my tooth of my hook facing me as I'm trying to draw through stitches. But see how that is trying to slide off? And it's not wanting to slide under that stitch. And it's almost like a roadblock. And so I kept fighting with this. And then as I started turning my hook, I realized this stitch, if you, instead of going forward, turn your hook backwards and down and slide under, it will slide right on like a dream. So I just had to change the angle of how I'm forcing those to slide on. But then once I got that, you could kind of see how it just works like a dream onto that hook. And so slight just shift of angle changed the whole project. It went from very frustrating fighting with the stitches to being able to work with the yarn rather than against it. So sometimes in your crocheting you have to make those little adjustments. Just a very simple change of technique. So anyhow, that's why I try to come on here and show you guys some of this. Maybe you can think about things differently. Because before I never really thought about my crochet stitches and how I did it. Now I think about things differently because I do come on live. I know I'm going to be asked questions about how I'm doing something, and before I would just do it, right? I would just flow along and crochet, and whatever happened happened. I would never actually think about it to be able to articulate what I'm doing. So I feel like my crochet journey has really changed thanks to all of you guys. And I really have started analyzing how I do things and kind of my technique more than I ever did in the past. And it's kind of cool. I kind of get geeked out by it. So it's pretty fun. But again, this is a half double slip stitch. So instead of yarning over and going underneath all 3 of these, I'm putting this one underneath these 2. So I just drag it through. If you were going to do a slip stitch, you would just not have that other bar and you would drag it through. See how that's a slip stitch? But this, because we're adding the other bar, you can kind of see the texture difference. So you can see here, see how it put the little bars here? That's from doing the half double. These 2 did not have it. That was just a slip stitch. Makes it sit flat. There's no added texture there. So it's really a fun little, like I said, I'm super excited about it. I worked on this weekend, and I have another project I'm working on as well. I'll show you guys this one. This one I feel like is, I don't remember what this yarn is called. Let me see what this is, because now I'm curious. I'm curious what the colorway is. It's called Coffee. You can kind of see it there. I think of it like cafe latte is what this blanket feels like to me. But this is another baby blanket I'm doing, and it's basically kind of the same stitch, but I'm doing it a little different. So this one I did basically a half double, then I'm doing the half double slip stitch, crossed half doubles, and then again, see this little row? That's your half double slip stitch, then just a regular half double. And so I'm just kind of alternating those the whole way up. But I really think it looks pretty. I love ice cream yarn. And when I saw this colorway coffee, I thought it looks like almost like a mocha latte, I guess. It's really pretty. And so I thought I started on this one first, and then I switched over, and I'm working on this one now as well, but it utilizes that same stitch. So anyhow, I'm really digging this stitch though. I know it's silly. I'm silly. What can I say? So, maybe you all are watching me because you get excited about crochet just the way that I do. Yolanda said that's beautiful. Thank you, thank you. I really appreciate that. It's like I said, I just like to sit down sometimes and crochet. I don't want to follow a pattern. I don't want somebody telling me what I can and can't do and work on. And so I sometimes feel boxed in when I do a pattern, right? It's like I have to stick to the guidelines, the rules. And sometimes I just want to put down some stitches and not even like think about something. I just want to, obviously I'm repeating a pattern here, right? There's definitely a pattern to my blanket, but it's not like I'm having to look at a piece of paper or anything like that. I'm just crocheting. So I really like that. Oh, I love that little heart, Pam, with his little googly eyes. He's so cute. 6.5 thousand taps over on TikTok. Thank you, everybody. I see the little hearts flying up the screen. I appreciate you guys being here with me this morning. And for those that don't know, my name is April, and I come on live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday mornings. And we've got a great little group here over on TikTok. Now, if you guys are interested in this yarn I'm using today, there is a link on my link tree. Also on the link tree, there is a link to our Discord. And I saw Macy was on earlier this morning. And Macy moderates our Discord for us. And so anyhow, it's just a fun little chat server. I believe we have 100 over there now on Discord. So a lot of you guys are on there. It's a great way for us to share our projects. If you have questions about crochet stitches, I had a lot of people that were messaging me questions, and it was really hard because on TikTok, on that platform, you can't share pictures, right? And a lot of times with crochet, it's very visual. We need to be able to see the pictures if somebody's struggling with a stitch or something. And the Discord allows us to share pictures, video, chat, all of those type of things. And so all it is just a crochet server. It's kind of like an online chat room. And the link is on the Discord if you'd like to hit us up over there on that group. But we have quite a few people that come on here and watch me in the mornings. And thank you guys all for tapping your screens, because I'll tell you, more and more people keep finding us. We have such a fun little group here. I know I'm the one that's sitting here rambling, but it's because of all of you guys that are, conversating back and forth and chatting it up and tapping your screens. I certainly appreciate that. And then over on YouTube, I'm also live as well. And so I'm live on both platforms this morning. Now, eventually, this video that I'm making over on YouTube, I will publish and make public. It usually takes 24 hours to process the live feed from the day before. So anyhow, let's see. No, the latte yarn is not on my link tree yet. I haven't gone live with it, but it's, if you want to do a screenshot of it, it's the ice cream yarn, and it is the colorway coffee. And I think, oh, the Discord link is expired. I'm sorry, Barbie. You'll have to come back. I will update it when I get off the live. I forget the Discord expires. I do that every week. Anyhow, it's coffee is the colorway of this ice cream yarn. And if you buy 3 at a time, I think I got this off Joann. If you buy 3, they come, I already used one of them. So you can see my other label floating around in here. But anyhow, it's Lion Brand ice cream yarn. It's a 3-weight yarn. It's acrylic. They have lots of beautiful colors, and I really like the ice cream yarn for baby blankets. I have quite a few different colorways. I'm sure you guys will be seeing more. I've got some sunshiny yellow that's really calling to me. Excuse me. And I said earlier, my husband got sick at work and he's going around coughing. And anyhow, I was pretty sick over the weekend. I just sat here and crocheted and kind of worked on some of these easy projects that I've got. I finished the Christmas ripple blanket. I'll show you guys that tomorrow. It's over in my pile next to me somewhere. I can't reach it this morning. But I'm going to start, that one's going to be for donation. And I'm going to start a new ripple blanket tomorrow. I'm going to do camouflage tomorrow. Camouflage in black. It'll probably be really hard to see. You guys will probably all be frustrated with me. But they need veterans blankets for the donation place, the Warm Up America. There's a link on the link tree. And I thought this camo yarn I have would be fun to do for veterans blanket. So I'm going to do this camo tomorrow. And then I've got a whole bunch of this. This is, it's black. It looks black, but it's actually called dark gray heather. And I thought it looked nice with the camouflage. So I thought I'd do some ripples of the camo and then switch over and do some ripples of the black kind of as the contrasting color. And I had picked up this black yarn at Ollie's. I don't know if you guys have Ollie's by you. Now, this has been a while. But OLLIE, they buy in bulk. So if a place is going out of business or something has been discontinued, sometimes they'll sell big lots of yarn and stuff. But they have, sometimes it's flower pots or who knows. But anyhow, this yarn I picked up, it was $4.99. This is a Super Saver Jumbo. And I had a 15% off your entire order. So I think they worked out to be about $4.25 a piece. And they were all that black heather. And I thought, well, it looks pretty close to black. I do have black as well, but I thought, well, for that price, I don't know if you can pick up Super Saver Jumbos for $4, $4.25. I don't know. That's pretty cheap, right? I think isn't the jumbos, aren't they like $7.50 or something? I'm drawing a blank, but I was looking at my yarn this morning. I know at the time I thought it was a good deal. Anyhow, I have 20 rolls. I have 20 skeins of this that I got for $4.25. So I've got to use some of it up. And I thought these camo blankets for veterans might be a cool way to kind of do that. So anyhow, that's my plan for tomorrow. So I know it's just another ripple blanket, but I'm worried this is going to be pulling in again. Anyhow, okay, so I'm done with this color blue. So now I'm going to go back to my white, if I can find where my white tail is. Here it is. And so when I'm ready to change my yarn, I don't finish the last stitch. I just leave the 2 bars like this. Then I take my new yarn and I draw that under. And that is what I use to start my new yarn. And then I cut off this dude. And then I'll go back and weave in this tail along with the tail from the white. So I kind of give myself a spot there to work with. Now, as I mentioned earlier, guys, I have had a really hard time on this blanket keeping track of my edges being straight. It has been a real struggle. I don't know why I'm struggling so much with it, but I am. And so if we look here, this is what I just finished, this stitch. I need a row of single crochets. Then I'm going to do half doubles. But I have had to do some counting when I get to these half doubles to kind of make sure everything's lining up properly. So I will here at some point need to do some counting as well and make sure everything is aligning it properly. But right now it's just a very easy row of single crochets. So I'm just kind of putting an end cap on these half double slip stitches, and a single crochet will kind of frame that in and make it look nice and pretty. So that's all I'm doing is a row of single crochets. Let's see here. I've missed some comments. I gotta undo my leg here. I'm hot. I put on pants this morning because it's been kind of chilly here in Alabama. And normally I'm in shorts with my blankie. Let's see. Pam says, do you all like Red Heart? So I'm not a real huge fan of Red Heart. Let me just put that out there. However, I can't use the really expensive, beautiful yarns all the time, especially because I do so much donation. I very much, I work every day. Crochet is my hobby. I have a budget. So even this Bernat Baby Sport, it's not my favorite yarn. It's not. It's just not. It's a very economical. It's a cheap yarn. It's 100% acrylic. Is it nice? Yeah, it's okay. Is it great? I wouldn't say it's great. It's not my favorite. My favorite is the Karen, or for like baby blanket, right? This is my favorite. The Bernat Softy Cotton. But here's the difference, okay? A skein of this Softy Cotton, which is hands down my favorite, 254 yards. On sale, I can get it for like $6.50, $7 a skein. 254 yards. When I do a baby blanket, it takes 6 of these. 6 times 7 is $42 for a baby blanket, okay? I don't want to sound like a cheapo, right? But I'm just a realist. I'm just like 40, it's $40 for a baby blanket, okay? Plus all my time. And it's beautiful. This yarn is absolutely beautiful. I love it. Now, here I am working, and I'm using this Bernat Baby Sport. This yarn right here is 1,004 yards, and on sale you can get it for $9.50. So if those are 250, this is 4 of those for $9. 4 of those is $28. So there's a big difference in cost there, right? Now this does, once I wash it, it does soften up, but it's just a matter of dollars and cents for me. So sometimes, I will use the more economical yarns just to be budget friendly type yarns. And I feel the same about the Red Heart Super Savers. Sometimes they're rough, right? I don't like how it feels on my hands. Part of crocheting for me is like when I'm touching this, it's much softer than this. But again, the ice cream yarn is a lot more expensive. If I had a choice between using this Jumbo Super Saver and, say, Karen Simply Soft, my hands would much rather like the Karen Simply Soft. But my wallet likes the Super Saver Red Heart. So that's why I choose it sometimes. And especially if if I'm donating it, right? I want to make a bunch of these blankets to go to charity for wheelchair blankets. And the red and green one that I just finished, I used Red Heart Super Saver Jumbos. And I think in total it took about 1.5 skeins of yarn. This was the Christmas one. And so 1.5 skeins of the jumbos. What are the jumbos at right now? Like $10, $9? So basically it's like $15. If I was going to use the same amount of Karen Simply Soft, it would probably be 3 or 4 times that amount. And if I'm doing a bunch of blankets for charity, I can't afford it. I just can't afford to use that. But if I'm making something, really nice for me or a family member, you're damn straight. I do absolutely get the more expensive yarns. So I have to find balance in it. So, yeah, I mean, tomorrow when I'm working with the Red Heart, is it going to be like fabulous, wonderful? I don't know. Will it be okay? Yeah, it'll be okay. But will it be like fabulous? So that's my feeling on it. Um, let's see here. Sorry, I missed a lot of comments. Yeah, Queen said April loves Karen Simply Soft. I absolutely do love Karen Simply Soft. Let's see. Uh, Anvil said mine had a bunch of the gradient and mandala cakes. Mandalas. Hey Priya, good morning. Are you meritus? I don't know what that word is. I'm sorry. Pam said that makes total sense. Queen says, yeah, the red heart can be rough. Betty says, I use compression gloves so I don't feel the yarn. It will wash softer. Yeah, so that's the thing with the red heart, guys. It's an economical yarn. What you feel on it when you're using the red heart, if you're new to crochet, they put what is something called sizing, I think is what it's called. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. But it's almost like a starch. It's called sizing. And they coat the yarn with it it's in the manufacturing process, and it makes it a little rough. But what it does, it helps keep the yarn together as you're using it, and it makes it a little stiffer. And after you wash your blanket, that stiffener, the sizing, washes out. It's like if you bought a new, like a men's dress shirt, right? A cotton white dress shirt. You know how it's kind of like starched? It's kind of stiff. It's the same concept of that. When you wash that white men's shirt in your laundry, right? It softens up. It removes the sizing, the starchiness off of that shirt. And then if you want your man's shirt to be nice, crisp, pressed again, they will iron and starch a shirt. Now, I haven't done that for, God, since I was in my 20s, right? My ex-husband used to wear sometimes some long sleeve dress shirts, right? With the tie. Those days I feel like they've come and gone. But yeah, we used to press and starch those shirts. I had my can of spray starch and I'd spray it on. So what you're feeling on the Red Heart or on this Bernat baby that I'm using, you're feeling that sizing, and it makes it a little rough as you're working on it. But with the Red Heart Super Saver, as soon as you wash it, all that sizing kind of goes away. And so for us that are kind of budget conscious, Red Heart has been around for so many years. And it has come a long way since, when I first started crocheting when I was 9. Man, that stuff was like tree bark. I mean, really. And I have some of that old yarn. I have my grandma's blanket that I was working on, and I have some scraps of that. And it is, seriously, it's like tree bark. And Mama Wheeler brought me a blanket that she started for when she was expecting in 1977. You want to talk about tree bark? Seriously, guys, I wish you could feel this yarn because it is so rough. I don't even have words to describe it. It is so rough. So the Red Heart Super Saver of today is nothing like it was when I was a kid. And I'm sure there's others here that can totally attest to that. But the thing with Red Heart Super Saver is after you wash it, it softens up. Same thing with this baby blanket yarn I'm using. So if you can tolerate how it feels on your hands, when you're in the store, just feel it. Feel it, drag it through your finger, feel how it feels. If you can tolerate it, it's a very nice option. So, somebody asked, do I like Red Heart Super Saver? Yeah, I like it. Is it my favorite? No. That's how I feel. It's a budget yarn. Mainstays. I like Karen 1 Pound. It's kind of the same thing. Karen 1 Pound, you know, it's an economy type yarn, but like I said, I'm not rolling in it, guys. I'm on a budget, and sometimes you make sacrifices to be able to keep crocheting and do the projects that you do, and you save the really good stuff for a really special project that you're making, either for yourself or a friend or whatever it is. So I'm sure you guys are all the same thing. Same, you feel the same way. So anyhow, Dolphin said, yeah, when I wash the blankets, they do get softer. Absolutely, you're losing that sizing. Frostbit Sweetheart says, I love this yarn from Hobby Lobby. It's very soft. $4.99 for 252 yards, often 30% off too. I love it. Yeah, so Hobby Lobby yarn, Hobby Lobby puts a sale on their yarn every other week. The yarn is 30% off. So, sorry, I didn't mean to bump my camera there, guys. Send you all bouncing this morning. So, yes, Hobby Lobby is a great place. Use that 30% off. I never buy yarn at Hobby Lobby. And my husband sometimes will go over to Albertville, which is the town close to us. He'll say, I need to run some errands in Albertville. Do you want to go with me? And I look at I pull up my Hobby Lobby and see if the yarn is half off. And that's how I determine if I'm going to go with him. And sometimes I've been known to say, oh, well, Hobby Lobby is on sale next week. Could we go next week instead of this weekend? And he'll, if it's not something pressing, he'll be like, yeah, that's fine. So I do like the Hobby Lobby yarn as well. I use that quite a bit as well. And it just works out really pretty. But Frostbit Sweetheart is working on the Hugs and Kisses chevron blanket, and she posted over on the Discord yesterday. Her blanket is beautiful. It is so, so pretty. I really love the colors that it's working on up to be. So anyhow, I'll update that Discord link when I get off the live, but if you guys want to follow and come over on the Discord, you guys can see her blanket too. It's really pretty. And Macy posted yesterday, she's working on this really cool blanket as well. I think that one is the in the round, the Hugs and Kisses that goes in it's like a square. And that one she's doing, I told her yesterday, when I see her post her pictures of it, it makes me want to eat Starburst, because it's just those fun, bright oranges and pinks. And it seriously, it makes me crave Starburst. It's so, so pretty. So guys, what I'm doing right now, I'm just doing a row of half double crochets. You can kind of see them there. And I'm going to have to do some counting, but the whole way I'm just doing half double crochets. So anyhow, let's see. Anvil said, I have psoriasis over my finger joints and it can be awfully irritating. Yeah, we're talking about the red heart. And then Anvil asked, do you have issues with big twists separating? I have heard that before. Betty said, I've heard it splits easily. Yeah, and Lulu said, just don't like that it splits on me. Absolutely. So I don't know, Big Twist. I haven't used it a whole lot. And I've heard so many reports of it splitting. I'm kind of, if I absolutely need a color, and they have a large selection of colors for the Big Twist, so that's one of the pluses. But anyhow, yeah, I've heard that a lot, that it splits. Let's see. Premier Pounder at Dollar Tree is really soft and $5. Oh, that's a pretty good price, I think. Hey, Jennifer, good morning. Let's see. Anvil said, I can never catch it at ours. It sells out immediately. Yeah, I'm not there very often at Big Lots. Hey, Tamarin, good morning. How do you end with the 2 yarns? How do you end with the 2 yarns? End. I tied on here. Is that what you mean? Here's where I finished the white. Here's where I did the blue. I'll weave this in like this, back and forth, weave this in and kind of hide it along the side. I've already hidden the other ones. You can't really tell. So I'm just, right now I'm just doing a half double crochet. So if you're new to crochet, how you do a half double crochet, I have to turn the work because I'm working from the back, but you can see there's the 2 little bars, the top of our stitch. Whenever you're doing crochet, the top of your stitches kind of look like this little V here. It's like a sideways V. And what I'm doing is I am wrap my yarn around and I go underneath those 2 bars, and then I pull up a loop. So I have 3 on my hook, and then I yarn over and pull through all 3. That is a half double crochet. And that is the stitch that I'm working all the way down. So I just yarn over under those 2 bars, grab up a loop, then yarn over and pull through all 3. Very easy stitch. I like the half double. I think it looks cool. It doesn't have as many twists as the double crochet. So when I want something with baby blankets, I'm trying not to have big holes. This is the biggest hole that I have here. And you can kind of see it's pretty small. I don't want anything that a baby can get their hand kind of stuck in, right? So my baby blankets, you can see they're very kind of tight and together. And that's how I like it. Now these cross doubles, like I said, it does put a little bigger hole, but you're pretty safe with that. So anyhow, yeah, help me build my YouTube, guys, if you can. Thank you, Mama Wheeler. Wheeler 8 Acres over on YouTube. I'm really trying to grow over there on YouTube. And you can come back and watch if you missed the live. I've been publishing those out. My real job has been so busy. I haven't been able to make a lot of videos lately. So hopefully... Right now, we're doing all of our printing for Christmas. My real job, I'm in the graphics business. I know some of you guys already know this, but this is an incredibly busy time of year for us right now. So we are finishing up all of most of the Thanksgiving printing is already done, but now we're starting to work on Christmas and printing for New Year's. So it's a really busy time of year, and when I get done with work, I'm just exhausted. You know, my days are just so busy. Normally, I would try to make videos like after work, you know, but I've been so busy. I'm too tired to make videos at the end of the day. I'm too tired to even crochet at the end of the day. So it might be a while, but eventually I'll get back to some videos and stuff too once things kind of quiet down. But we'll be busy all the way until the spring. Our business is very driven by the seasons and holidays because we do printing of graphics. So anyhow, let's see here. Barbie said, I'm working on my first crochet cardigan. Awesome, awesome. Hey, Queen, have a great day. She said, I'll see you all tomorrow. No, I have not finished my purple hexagon. I don't know where it's at. It's over here next to me. So Betty asked, did you finish your purple hexie? And no, I haven't. It's still in the works. I will, I'll be working on that kind of in the background, you know, as I go along. I love Michael's loops and threads. Yeah, I don't have a Michael's that's close to us. So that's the part that's hard. Let's see. Sorry, I missed some of the comments. Pam said, me too. We are working OT. Yeah, it's a busy time of year. You know, I'm not complaining, right? Like, I need my job. That's my income, you know. I'm getting stuffed up. Sorry, guys. You know, so I'm not complaining. I like the fact that I'm busy at work, but right now it's the whole level above that. Like, it's busy, but it's like crazy, insane busy. It's beyond just steady. You know what I mean? It's like you get home from work and you're like completely wiped out, kind of busy. So, you know, it's good. It's good for the business. It's good for me. It's good for my job. Some of my income is based on the number of sales that I do. So, you know, it's important to me that I get a lot of orders and have printing and those things. So, you know, my livelihood is based on it. How much yarn I can buy is, you know, what what it's based on. So you can't quit the real job. How else am I going to buy these yarn sales, you know? Oh, goodness. All right, guys, I got to count. Bear with me here. I got to count stitches. Chat amongst yourself as I am, or tap your screen and send some love flying up as I do some counting of stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 for 9, 50. See, that is so far off. Why is it so far off? I shouldn't have done one at the beginning, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 50. Maybe it's just an illusion that it looks off. I don't know. Let's move this up and see how it looks on the next grouping. I just am finding like somehow I'm getting an extra stitch or not enough stitches. I don't know. It's so wonky. Like I might have to come back and take this little guy out. I think I'm going to have to. I have frogged this blanket so many times. All right, y'all, get ready. I'm ripping this out. Ribbit, ribbit, ribbit. I feel like I have done this all the time with this blanket when I'm working on it. I can't tell you how many times I ripped it out over the weekend. But, you know, it happens. It just happens. There's our little frog. Isn't he cute? Okay, let me see here. So I think what happened is I put an extra stitch here at the end. See how this kind of pulled in like this? I think this is why I keep thinking it needs an extra stitch here, but then when I get over here, it doesn't. It's like it's an illusion. I don't know. It is the weirdest thing. This is all going to get covered up with the border, this edging, but I need these counts to be right or my blanket is going to look totally off. And I can't tell you, I have ripped these stitches out so many times. All right, I'm going to speed crochet. Let's just pound these back in and get this going. 16,000 likes. Thank you guys so much for all the screen taps this morning over on TikTok. And thank you for the thumbs up over on YouTube as well. I appreciate that. Yeah, Betty said, I think you were missing a stitch on the finished row edge. I think I am too. Or I feel like I need to put a stitch in there, but I don't. Like it's an illusion. It's when I do these rows of the blue, see, it looks straight now that I took one out. I had an extra one here. I had an extra one right here. And I took it out, and now it's back straight. So, I don't know. It's once I get this first row, then the other rows kind of follow until I do more of these green, and then I get myself all thrown off again. So, it just kind of is going with the territory of this blanket, but, you know, it happens. I'm not, like, frustrated by it. You know, I just rip it out and start over. And it's better to catch it now than get all of the blanket completely done and realize that it's, you know, bowing in, like going at an angle. That wouldn't be good. So I would rather catch it now. But it happens to all of us. It doesn't matter how long you have been crocheting. I don't know that you ever like get past it. I mean, maybe if you're such an expert, you can, but I don't know that anybody could be that much of an expert, really, to be honest. I'm like, I don't know. We'll see. So like I said, I don't get frustrated by it. I just work with it. And if I have to frog, I frog. It's not the end of the world to me. So I know a lot of people get frustrated by it, but if you're going to crochet, it just kind of goes with the territory. So you should be prepared for it because it happens to all of us. And the nice thing is it's not ruined. You know, you can reuse that yarn. So it's not like it goes to waste. It's just time, right? You lose your time, but it's fine. It doesn't bother me. You had added a chain to one of the stitches before frogging. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is. Like I said, it's one of those things. This blanket, I feel like it, for whatever reason, it just kind of happens. So let me count again. I'm gonna put in my stitch marker now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 6, 7, 8, 9, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so there's 50. And then when I get here, this will be another 50. So let's keep going. So I have two groups of 50, and then I have I can't remember what the very edge count is. I don't remember. I think I worked on this blanket on Saturday. What did I work on yesterday? Oh, I think yesterday I finished the Christmas blanket, the Christmas ripple. I think I worked on that one yesterday. I don't remember what I did. Time check, 8:26. Let's see. Mo Boatman said, I frogged my project 6 times yesterday. Girl, I feel ya. I feel ya. That's how this blanket has been. I have really frogged a lot, but I want it to be nice when I'm done. And I can adjust, and compensate for little missed stitches. But if that edge starts going completely crooked, and then starts pulling, basically what I'm talking about for those that are new to crochet, I have this edge of my blanket. You can see it here. It's a little harder to see over on YouTube. I'm trying to keep this straight so that when I get the rest of the blanket finished, it is even. When you miss stitches on the edge or you lose stitches, it'll start to come in on you. So it happens a lot to new crocheters because you don't know exactly where the end stitch is, and sometimes when you chain up, it's hard to identify, and that's what's kind of happening with mine. And so you can prevent that in a couple of different ways. You can, when you get to the very end over here and you do your last stitch, see, I didn't do it here, but here it is. You can put a stitch marker when you do your last stitch. And that's what I should be doing, like I'm a new crocheter because I'm struggling with this blanket. But I, for whatever reason, am not. Bye, Mom. I'll see you tomorrow. I hope you guys have a good day. I hope Papa Wheeler catches lots of fish. Tell him to send me some pictures when he gets back home of his catch. I want to see some fish pictures. He sent me pictures the other day. They fished around where my mom's condo is. They have, she's down in Florida, and they have a bunch of like water around them, like little lake, inland lake, whatever. It's not like Lake Guntersville where it's huge, but it's like, water around the condo, and there's fish in there. They don't eat them. They just catch them, for the sport of it. And he caught a snakehead, and I think he caught some like sunfish. Anyhow, he threw them back, but he went out fishing with the guys the other day. Let's see here. Anvil said, I was frogging granny squares for whatever reason. I was skipping stitches on the corners. What is frogging? I feel kind of dumb. So when you rip out the stitches, like if I frog this back, I rip it out. So it kind of becomes like ribbit, which sounds like a frog. So you call it frogging for like ribbit. So, yeah, so we call it frogging. It's just kind of a term in crochet, but that's what it means to me, frogging. So it's you rip it. It sounds like a frog. So I think that's why we call it frogging. It's kind of fun. It's just a fun term. So don't feel dumb, Carrie. It's just a new thing you haven't heard before. Yeah, Gen X said sounds like ribbit, hence the name of frogging. TSH Karen said, I frogged an entire sleeve because I didn't like the way it looked. Yeah, it happens, right? Walk, you'll last longer today. Susan said, so frustrated at the end of the row playing last stitch chicken. A border will help with that. Yeah, it'll help. So when I finish this blanket, this is pretty straight, if you guys can see that. But I'm going to add a border here. So this first stitch all the way up, I'm going to add some form of a border. So I'll come back along and that will cover all of that up. So then all you'll see is the perfect stitch on the edge. But what happens if you miss a stitch or you get extras, your blanket will go like this if you get too many. If you don't get enough, it'll start to pull in. And every time you go up a row, it'll continue getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So then at the end of your blanket, you'll end up with like a trapezoid looking blanket rather than it being rectangle or square. So that's the challenge. And if it starts to get too far off, if it wanders, so to speak, a border won't fix it. A border will not fix it. I mark my ends before the chain while it's still on the hook. It's been helping. 56 years later. Yeah, absolutely. I've been doing it for 40 years. And I'm going to, Anvil, I'm going to crochet to the end of this row, and then I'm going to hop off and go to work. But I want to show you guys what I'm talking about, what Mo just said. Betty said, I know, right? Me too. Yeah. So this would all be prevented if when I'm doing these stitches, and this is a good reminder for those that have been crocheting for 50 years or those that have been crocheting for one day. When you come to the end, okay, so I come to the end, this is my very last stitch. Had I marked the row below, there would have been a stitch marker in this stitch. Now, I know I'm supposed to have 50 here, so let me count this. This is where 50 is, so I need to put a new stitch marker here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. So this is number 50. And you can see now that I adjusted, these two are lining up. So I take my stitch marker from down below and I'm moving it up to the next row. So there's 50. Now, if this is where it was, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So I have 20 down here. That tells me from this stitch marker right here to the end, I need 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That is my last stitch. So what I need to do is my very last stitch right here, I put in a stitch marker. And you can do that when you turn the row. Where'd my crochet hook go? That might be where I'm ending it because I don't know where my hook went. Here it is. So the next row that I need to do are these crossed double crochets. So the way that I do that is I chain up 2. If we look right here, you can see I had the chain up, and then into that same space, I do 1 half double crochet. So this is the very last stitch. I need to put a half double into this. Okay, now this stitch marker goes into this stitch right here. This is the new edge right here. If I do this the whole time that I'm doing this, I'm not going to have these problems of frogging it out. And instead, I keep forgetting to put in those stitch markers. And so then my counts are getting off on the rows, and then I'm having to frog. So there I'm starting my little crossed doubles. You can see them there. That matches this here. And here's my little edge stitches. Here's my little edge stitches. So once I get done with these cross doubles, when I get back down, I'm going to have my stitch marker, so I'll know where that stitch goes and where my blanket ends. So anyhow, you could probably hide it, rip it back 10 or, yeah. So I'm doing half double crochets on this stuff. Hey Dawn, good morning. I have finished the row. Hallelujah. Yeah, a lot of times when I stop, I don't stop at the very edge here as I'm continuing on crocheting. Like I will stop my project in the middle of a row. So like today I'm finished, right? I'm going to be hopping off my live. I will stop here in the middle. I try not to stop on the edge. Because the edge, it's one of those things. It's like, where was I? What was I doing? If I stop in the middle like this, then I'm good. So basically, I'm just doing this row of cross double crochets, and I'll continue that on. But anyhow, that's it for today. I'm gonna sign off and go do the real job. Gotta bring in the bacon. So I hope everybody has a great day. Tomorrow I'm going to work on a modern ripple blanket. I'm going to start it from scratch. So bye for now. Thank you guys all for the support and the screen taps and everything. I hope you all have a marvelous day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye, Kimberly. Bye, Betty. Bye, everyone.